Yes, it's that time of week again. Great to have your company, of course, as we bring you all the Premier League action from the weekend. It is Premier League overtime. You've got myself, Sam Tugwell, as you do every week, and alongside me is Doug McDonald-Taylor, the two-time championship player from Forestville. Great to have you on again, mate.
Thank you, Sam. It's good to be here and a huge double round weekend to talk about. So that's exciting with a few upsets to talk about as well. And once again, we have another huge guest in the studio this week, Sam.
You brought an old mate of yours to the studio today, and he is, of course, from the Forestville Basketball Club, as you were once upon a time there, Doug. So without any more need to go into that, it is Adam Doyle from the Forestville Eagles. Adam, welcome to the show, mate. Great to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all, mate. Look at it. Oh, see, this is...
It's the connection.
They've already got themselves started. They've been practicing this all week. You can just tell. Hey, before we get to you, Adam, we'll have a look at some of the results from round 6 and 7, because it has been a very big week in the Premier League this weekend. And with round 6 to start with, Central's got absolutely blasted by Norwood in both men and women there. Woodville got themselves a nice win over West. And also in the women's, the Forestville Eagles going down to North Adelaide in an overtime finish there. But we'll have a look at that in a moment. But yesterday, Anzac Day, fantastic lot of games that went around yesterday on Monday. And 87-81 for your Eagles there, Adam, against the Bearcats. A very good, it was a relatively close game in the end. We'll chat about that one in a moment. And another one which I think Doug will probably kick start with is the Southern Tigers, as they got up in the women's game over the Sturt Sabres. Sturt have been very, very good this year up until this point, but the Southern Tigers basically owned home court.
Yeah, definitely a huge win for Southern Tigers women, Sam. You know, we touched when Tara was on here a couple of weeks ago that they hadn't had a big scalp, and so they needed to beat a top 3 team, and they did that, beating Sturt. The big thing about that was they scored 90 points. Now, Sturt's defence is, like we've said before, one of the best in the league. So to score 90 points is a huge effort. Molly McKendrick, 29 points. Fawcett came in with 19 as well. And so they needed that, and they followed up with a good win against South as well. So to get a couple of wins for them was big. They're back in the mix now. Also, shout out to Kelsey Rutland, who, that strong weekend with 15 against South and 11 against Sturt off the bench. Yeah. And we talked about them not having enough scorers, and so hopefully, she's been able to step up, and hopefully she could be the answer for them going forward.
Well, you'd want to hope so. They do have a very good-looking side, the Southern women's side. They've just got to apply that skill, I guess, week in, week out. So a good start there and a very good win to get up over the Sabres, because they are a very, very good side, of course. Now, the Eagles up against North Adelaide, we just mentioned before, an overtime finish. Jo Hill had 19 points and 6 boards to lead her side across the line. It was an interesting game because Forestville had the momentum with a last quarter surge in that game, but then overtime they didn't score and it was 8-0, and then North Adelaide ran away with it quite comfortably. Yeah,
look, it's a very interesting stat, not to score in overtime, especially for such a talented team like Forestville and in form. But North clearly came to play. They're playing on their home deck, and look, they had 3 girls with double-doubles, which is actually quite rare. And Opal Mader stepped up again, and Lauren Badenoch probably had her best game of the year, 18 points and 10 boards. So, collectively, they were a tough trio to stop with Jo Hill. But no points in overtime is big. I mean, they played before you, mate. Did you get to catch any of that before your game?
I didn't actually get to see any of it. I was warming up on the other court. But like you said, North had the momentum, and not scoring in overtime, that's always going to hurt. So they'll be hitting the training track pretty hard this week and get ready for this week's game, I assume.
You would want to hope so, but they got themselves a nice win yesterday as well over West, which is good to keep them back on track. But as we cross over to some of the men's games as well, Woodville took on West Adelaide, and it was a very good effort from the Warriors to hold off West Adelaide there at, I think it was Port Adelaide. So they got themselves a win, but it was Darren Ning with 21 points. Perkins hit 20 points as well. He's had a fantastic weekend. We'll get to his performance yesterday as well in a second. But yeah, I mean, 20 points for Perkins. He's doing a very good job.
Look, he's having a great year. I think he's averaging a little bit over 20 a game. In this particular contest, Nelson Kirksey again, 16 points, 11 boards and 7 assists. He's going to be tough to stop for you boys this week. Big stand in the middle. He chimed in with a double-double as well. Darren Ings doing his thing. So we said last week that, Woodville are going pretty well and they could quite easily be 5-2 after this weekend. I thought they were slight underdogs going into this West game, but to come away with a win and also to get South on Sunday, sitting 5-2, third on the ladder, that's going to be a very big task for you coming up, Doyley. And Nelson Kirksey, who's going to get the job on him?
Well, I haven't really seen much of him, so I don't know what position he sort of plays, but I've heard he's very athletic and can get in the lane, and he can also knock down the jump shot. So I think probably Snake might get the match up. He always comes big down the stretch. And
Trent Folge probably see some time.
Trent
they seem like pretty similar players, but. And you guys are a game behind him as well, so that's going to be a good matchup this week, Sam. But yeah, look, Woodville's certainly gone along pretty well. Westie's had a tough weekend, 2 losses. We'll talk about their loss to Forestville in a moment. But against Woodville, Demetrius had 20, Tristan Braithwaite had 18, but together they went 11 from 31 from the field, 32%. The whole team was 23 from 72 at 31% as well. While Woodville went 48% from the field. So that was the difference in the end, Sam, just shooting percentage. So obviously getting off better shots. And so, yeah, Woodville looking good.
That's it. Well, the Warriors are going quite nicely. And as you said, their record is probably only going to improve even more as the weeks go on, which no one really, I guess, expected after a couple of big losses to their list over the off-season. So they're doing quite nicely at the moment. But speak of West Adelaide, Anzac Day at Wayville saw the Eagles get themselves a nice little win, and it was yourself, Adam Doyle, that got yourself a nice spirit medal. So congratulations on your efforts there. 22 points, I think it was, for your good self. What do you think was the biggest challenge out of your 6-point win yesterday?
I think just for us is defence. We have been struggling in probably the third and fourth lately, coming down the stretch. So we actually locked in and got some stops and turned them into scores. And we sort of found, Andy's been getting into us all year about attacking the basket and stop settling for outside jump shots. So we did that, and we came away with a win, which was good. So.
Well, as we mentioned before, Demetrius Perkins from West Adelaide has been phenomenal this year, and he was tough to stop again yesterday. He scored 25 points. He had a great weekend. But you guys got the job done in the end. But do you think, in hindsight, maybe you guys could have stopped him a little better?
Yeah, we did a good job on him, later on when we figured out, what he could do and what he couldn't do, and you try and take that away, but it's a team effort to try and stop him. You can't expect one guy to just guard him the whole time. So we figured out what he couldn't do and what he could do. So we stuck to that, and we actually contained him down the end. He just hit a couple of big threes down the end, which once you get going, you get going. So.
Exactly right. Well, speak of getting going, you guys had a nice 32-point win on Friday night as well, just to sweep the weekend over the Rockets. How did you guys see that one go out? Because you're now 4-3. You're looking quite good. At what percent do you think your team's running at the moment?
I think we're getting there. We're certainly, every training's tough, so we're on our way to getting right where we want to be. We just, turned it up in the last quarter on Friday against North defensively, and that just turned to us running and getting on the ring and getting baskets. So, we're Andy's a firm believer in defense gets you scores. So that's what we've been working on, and it's paying off right now. It didn't the first couple of weeks, but now we're on the right track. So we'll keep working at it.
I think. You said that last quarter, 35-11 in that last quarter. That's a huge last quarter, especially when they came at you in the third. You're averaging 24 points a game, mate, and Jake Rios is averaging, I think, 22. So I think you're both in the top 5 for the league in scoring. What was pleasant about this weekend was Kyle Howe, Taping. He chimed in with 16 points Friday night and 12 on Sunday or Monday. Huge influence. You need him to sort of step up with his scoring, and it was awesome to see Brad Hayden go for 19 on Monday. He's been a little bit down this year, but that extra ignition off the bench is huge. It's been huge in the last sort of 5-6 years for the team. Really need to get him going, don't we?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, first of all with Kyle, he's one of the. I'll put him up there with one of the top guards in the league. He's very quick, and he can handle that ball too. And it's good having him there to get in the lane as well. And he creates 2-on-1 opportunities for others, and it was really good to see him have a good weekend. And like you said with Hato, he is a knockdown shooter. You can't, if there's a centimetre gap, he's going to get that up. He's not afraid to shoot it. So it was good to see him actually get his jump shot going this weekend and contribute. And he walked away with a bottle of wine on Monday, so I'm sure he was happy with that one. So yeah.
Oh, good. He's still captain?
We've actually changed it. We've got a leadership group, so
Okay.
we don't have a certain captain. We've just got a leadership group now. But yes, he's in that. So.
All right, beating. All right, moving on. Shall I go into some questions for Doyle?
Absolutely, mate. You love your questions.
I do. I've got some questions from old mate Doyley. So you've come across from Sturt as a youngster,
Yep.
2008. Why the move?
Well, I just thought it was a better opportunity. I was playing Div 2 at Sturt for a couple of years, and I spoke to Tony Casella, who was the coach at the time, and he's asked me to come out to a training, and after that training, he said, I can, you'll be able to play Div 1. So I thought, if I want to keep going with basketball as a career, I've got to make that move. I can't just keep playing Div 2 for the rest of my life. So I made that move, and it was probably one of the best moves I've made in a long time. So.
Well, so you played under 18s at Forestville 2008, and after that, Sam, he's come into the ABA squad. It's funny because he talks about opportunity at Forestville, definitely at the junior level, but at the time we had Matt Sutton in your senior team. We had Matt Sutton as starting point guard, we had Bretton Campbell backup point guard, and then we had Harry Harvey, who was a state under 20 starting point guard, and we also had Reece Turner, who was also a state under 20. So he was actually fifth in the line in the pecking order. What I love about Doyle, though, came in 2009, and whilst he didn't play a lot in that ABL season, because we were quite stacked, what he did was he worked really hard in his game, and Andy Simons clearly saw something in him. But not only that, I think the whole group did. And throughout that year, although he didn't play a lot, you jumped ahead of Harry and Reece, and no fault to their own. I mean, they were really good players and good point guards, but just your own determination, you got ahead of them. And it's just funny how things can be fortunate, because at the start of the 2010 season, Sam, Matt Sutton goes to Mount Gambier, Bretton Campbell retires, goes up to Cairns. All of a sudden, there's a starting point guard spot up for grabs, and so you've gone from, in 2 years, not being able to get a starting spot at Sturt in the junior team to starting in Forestville's ABL side. You often look back on that 2009 year, and although you didn't play, the work you put in, it's sort of fast-tracked your career in somewhat, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when that did come around, I was sort of, it's sad to see, obviously, Suts go and all that, but it, opened up an opportunity, even though I didn't think I was quite ready for it then, but, obviously Andy believed in me to put me in there, so, I took that and just kept working, and it was a lot of work that I put in, early mornings before school and all that sort of stuff, so, it was good to see that pay off, so I was quite happy with that.
And, we didn't win it that year, but we still went into the finals. We won the final, and you were the starting point guard for that. So it was a fantastic effort in your first year. And then you move on, and in the 3 years following that, 3 championships. How does it sit with you? I mean, there hasn't been a three-peat since the early 80s of the great West Adelaide Bearcats. So 20 years ago, you were the starting point guard for that three-peat. Which really puts that group of players, coached by Andy Simons and led by yourself, in the conversation of the best South Australian sort of teams of all time. Have you reflected on that yet, or is it too early because you're only a third of the way through your career? Or?
No, I mean, I do look back on it every now and then. I do, I've got the game tapes at home, and I do go back and watch them and reflect on that. And yeah, it was a special time, and it was. Some of the most amazing feeling that I've had in a long time, winning 3 championships, and obviously the parties are always good afterwards. So,
I wouldn't know about that.
But yeah, no, it was, it's a good achievement, and it's those group of guys that sort of have come back now as well. So the core group's sort of there now, which is good, and we've gelled together nicely, and it's good to be playing with those guys again. So
now I'm going to in a minute ask you your favourite basketball achievement of yours, but first of all, I'm going to tell you my favourite Adam Doyle basketball achievement. So 2012, Adam Doyle, so I was the second of the 3 championships. Yep. So prelim final, so there's 3 teams left. Norwood, who won it in 2009, Sturt, who won it in 2010, Forestville, who won it in 2011. They're the 3 teams left in 2012, Sam. Prelim final at Whale, we're going up against Norwood. and led by Todd Matthews. Now you've gone on to win that game by 30. You have matched up against Toddy Matthews, who was probably the premier point guard in the league for 6 or 7 years. You've kept him to 11 points. You yourself were best on ground with 22 points. I really felt like that was a changing of the guard. Toddy had the reign as the best point guard in the league for quite some time. I really felt like you passed him that game. You're the only person I've ever seen make Todd Matthews look slow. And so that was a huge achievement. Then the following week, to come up against Sturt, who your old club, up against your old mate Tom Daly, who was always ahead of you in the pecking order at Sturt, and it was a match of a century. I mean, Sturt had control of the game most of the night. And in fact, I think it was a Tom Daly 3 with 9 minutes to go that put Sturt up by 16, Sam. And I'll be honest, I was sitting in the crowd with a lot of the old Forestville blokes, Dixie, Arthur Newley, and we didn't have a lot of hope at that point. But and not only that, Rashad Tucker, who was the hero from the year before, he was out with a concussion. He played less than 10 minutes and only scored 1 point for the night. And Adam Doyle picked up his team, put him on his shoulders, and they came storming home, pushed it to overtime, and ended up running away with the win. Tom Daly had a pretty good game. He had 16 points, but you were clearly the better point guard on the night. You had 23 points, grand final MVP, and to win against your old club and go back-to-back, if you have a better highlight than that, then surely this has to be up there, though.
Yeah, no, that's definitely up there. That was a great. It was good to see all my hard work pay off and get the MVP of that game. I walked away with nothing left in the tank, and I was happy with that. Me and Rashad actually joke about that now. He always walks around and said, "I'll put you on my back for the first one." I said, "Well, I'll put you on my back for the second one." So that's good. But yeah, my achievement. It might not be right up there with that, but I think it's the third one that we won. That was an awesome feeling. We went in and no one thought we were going to win that one because we played Westies and they had Daniel Johnson and Jason Kiddie, and everyone thought that they were going to run over us, and we just stuck to what we knew best, and we knew if we were close within the last quarter that we were going to run away with it, and that happened, and so that was definitely one of my greatest achievements, and also another one was obviously actually getting my first NBL minutes. That was a pretty high achievement, and I always look back on that. So
yeah, congratulations on that, and which probably leads me to my next question. You were a development player for a couple of years, then you did your knee. Where now you're back playing amazing basketball. I think you're second top scorer in the league. You're back to your best. Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? What are your goals?
Well, obviously, I want to try and get on an NBL roster and get a contract there. So I've been, looking at that, and also overseas as well. Overseas are a main point for me. If I can get one of those, a gig over either here or another NBL club or overseas, that's where I'm looking at now. So I've been working hard towards that, and hopefully it pays off sometime soon, which would be nice.
And the trip to China, how was that?
Yeah, that was different. China's obviously a different culture, but the games were good. I enjoyed the games, and obviously you were with a good group of guys, and the banter with the guys was one of the main things you take away from. It's just like I said, they're different to us. That's all I got to say. They eat anything. So I mean, just one of the things we took away from there was we were having our pre-game meal before one of the games, and there's this big soup in the middle of the table, and there was something in the middle. We didn't know what it was, so we poured it out and we asked the dude. We said, "What is this?" We thought it was a chicken soup or something. He goes, "Oh no, that's pigeon soup." And we're like, "Pigeon?" Poured it out, and there's this pigeon in there, just with its head on its wings, everything attached. So, yeah, we got up and left the table and went back to the room.
Not exactly your pre-game carbs, is it?
That's a bit different. But other than that, it was a good trip. But I was glad to get home and get back with the boys and play.
Yeah, for sure. And we better talk about who's had your most influence on your career, because you've to go from being a Div 2 player to wearing the 36ers uniform, mate, and winning 3 Premier League titles. Who's probably had the most influence?
Obviously, my parents are always up there. They've put in a lot of hours.
Good people.
Driving me to and from training. Whether it was 5 in the morning, whatever time, they would always get up and and make sure I was there and always pay for my, carnivals away and all that sort of stuff. So I couldn't go past Sam. Another big influence, obviously Tony Casello, who actually did get me across to Forestville and actually started my career from there, which, I always have a lot of time for him. And probably the other main one is Andy. He's given me freeway to do a lot of things, and we work together closely, and we've actually got a good friendship going on there as well. So I can talk to him about anything, and he can talk to me about anything. And I just think he's helped me a lot with my basketball career and just given me the opportunity to do what I want. So yeah, hats off to him.
And lastly, Sam, this year, can you win it? And to win it, you're going to have to buck the trend, because just about every championship team in this league has a big guy in the middle. Yeah. And it's probably something we're lacking. Both Charles Newland and Trent Folds are probably playing, above in terms of height and weight, above what they probably should be doing. Charles is probably a 4-man playing 5, and Trent's a 3-man playing 4, with not a lot of big guys coming off the bench. So considering that, can you still win it? Because Southern and Norwood, who are probably the 2 favourites, they clearly have some size.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely going to be tough. I don't think you should ever cancel that and never say never. But I do think we can be up there. It's going to be tough to get it done, but I think if we lock down and actually box out and do the right things, I think if you're playing with heart, you can win anything. So I think obviously Southern are a very tough side. They've got some powerful guys and athletes, and playing Alex the other week, I forgot how much of an athlete he actually was. So it's going to be tough, but I like I said, never say never, and I think we can be there right at the end of the year. So it'll be good to see and good to find out. So I'm excited about it. So.
Wouldn't it be great if you guys could find yourselves in the finals again this year? It would just be
it would be good.
It would be fantastic to see. Well, if we take a look at the ladders, we'll start with the men's, of course, and Adam's Eagles are there at 4th place at the moment, topping those 4-game winners, I guess you could say there, with Sturt and North also with the same record. But above them, it's Woodville, of course, as we mentioned before, 5-2. Then Norwood, 6 wins, and Southern yet to be defeated with 7. And then across at the women's, it is a very similar looking ladder in terms of how teams are sitting. It is very much competitive. I mean, West Adelaide at 7th place with 4 wins. I mean, you don't often see that, but that's just how well this competition's going at the moment. And Norwood, of course, at the top with 7 wins, and the Rockets, Sturt and the Eagles all with 5 wins there as well. So some very competitive basketball going on across the competition at the moment, which is really great to see.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
I mean, yeah.
A lot of teams beating different teams. It's fantastic, especially in that the middle section, both the men's and the women's. One team will beat one team and they'll go and lose to another team the next week. So, West were the perfect example this week. The women, they come up and beat Woodville women, and they're equal now on the table. So. Big win for them, but it's happening every week, and nice and close competitions.
It's a little bit like our footy tips. You can't tip each week
exactly right.
Who's going to win. You just don't know. So as we take a look at round 8 and who's playing who in that round, I guess it's very much similar again. Norwood and Sturt, how do you pick? Southern take on West. I mean, the men you'd expect to get up, but even then, I mean, this competition is just a crazy, crazy thing at the moment. Woodville take on Adam's men in Forestville. They're at St Clair, so nice little road trip there for the Eagles. And then Central's take on South. That's a must-win for the Panthers, I think, especially in the women's, because Centrals aren't going too well in that one. That's out at Starplex, so that'll be very even. Maybe the road trip doesn't help the Panthers, who knows? And then, of course, lastly, Eastern take on North on Sunday afternoon, which is where our cameras will be for Austral Sports. Is there a game in there you like, Doug?
Well, I like in the men's, actually, and in the women's, the Woodville-Forestville matchup. They're going to be very close. They're both tight on the ladder. And in the women, the West versus Southern game is going to be big. They're tight on the ladder at the moment, so it'll be interesting. They'll be trying to get a game up on each other there. So those two are probably the ones for me. West versus Southern women. Who's going to win that one, Doyle?
I don't know, probably Southern.
Southern?
I'd pick Southern. I haven't seen much of West, so even though they played our girls on the weekend, didn't see much of that. But I did see a little bit of our girls versus Southern, and Southern looked pretty strong, especially with Molly. She's she's putting in a bit of work lately. So
Yeah, she's
I
having a
think
great year.
she'll have a good one, and hopefully they might get the win.
Obviously, your men and the women up against Woodville. Do you have confidence that you can beat them both?
Yeah, I mean, I have confidence, obviously, in us, so we can beat them. I think we'll hit the training track hard on Thursday night, and we'll get ready for that game. But yeah, like you said, this is a must-win for us to keep ourselves in that mix, and we have to beat these teams if we want to be there at the end of the year. We can't, just beat the teams down the bottom of the ladder. You have to beat the guys at the top. So it's going to be a big one for us. And yeah, I think our girls are actually going pretty good lately. Obviously they dropped one on Friday against North, but they bounced back on Sunday. So I see them getting up too. So hopefully it's a good weekend for Forestville.
Hopefully for many other clubs as well, they can get themselves some good wins and keep this competition as strong as it is, because it's very, very competitive at the moment across the board, which is what we love to see. Hey, Adam, great to have you on once again, mate.
Thank you.
Coming on, mate.
Pleasure.
Of course, and we'll see, I guess, more of you in action across the season. And Doug, of course, we'll see you in action here on the show each and every week from now on.
Yes, thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me. And everyone, get out to a game this week. There's some good ones.
Yeah, it should be all Saturday night except for the Eastern game. That's on Sunday, Arvo. So depending on where you want to go and what times you've got available, head on out to those games, because there's plenty there to get to, of course. So this has been Premier League Overtime. Great to have your company here on the show. From Doug, Sam and Adam, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week.